Hello, Peng friends. It is your friendly neighborhood gizmo penguin filming yet another video. I just recorded another one right before this, so that's why we're in the same outfit, same background, and it's very cold in this room. However, I hope you guys will get to see Boss Cat at some point during this video. Today, though, we have quite an interesting video. It's called Immigration is Good. F-bomb that, not in Japan. And it's by a YouTuber named Ken no Ken, which is like a short form for Kenobi Ken. I haven't heard of this YouTuber before, but he's quite a big YouTuber, 40k subscribers. This particular video has been picked up by bigger YouTubers. I'm really curious about it because, of course, the immigration topic is quite a hot topic in Japan right now, all around the world. But yeah, as somebody, a foreigner in Japan who came here quite a long time ago, 16 years ago, as you guys know by now probably. Yeah, I'm always curious about Japanese people's perspectives on this and other foreigners' perspectives on this. So, yeah. Before we jump into that, guys, of course, if you're enjoying at any point, there's a like button. You should ping friend slap that. You should subscribe if you haven't. I mean, if you want to. You don't have to if you don't want to. And of course, guys, as always, if you have any comments, questions, if you agree with my takes, if you disagree, if you agree with his takes, disagree with his takes, both him and the foreign gentleman with him, absolutely let me know in the comments. I love discussing things with you guys in the comments. You have been amazing about the Oriental Pearl and Abroad in Japan video. Talking with you guys about those issues has been so refreshing. Everyone has been very fair-minded, to be honest with you. I expected that people would be a lot of people might feel quite unreasonable and be like extremely one way or the other. We did have a couple of people who tended that way, but you know, it happens. And still we were able to discuss, so I appreciate that. So same here. I'd love to hear your comments on this particular topic and to discuss it in the comments section. So yeah, let's do that. And of course, again, you have any questions, let me know. Boss Kitty is here. I'm watching out for Boss Kitty. You guys might remember him from when I was streaming over on Twitch. How many years ago? 4 years ago? I'll try to bring him in at the end of the video because maybe we'll need it. It sounds like it's going to be a sad one even though it's short. Alright, let's get into the video, guys.
But we should give every person a chance.
We don't have no advantages for that.
We want our country as safe as possible.
I want to ask you about Netherlands.
Netherlands.
I'm interviewing, like, what do you think? Do they think about immigrants?
Immigrants.
You speak Japanese, right? Hello.
Hello.
What's your name?
Yort. How are you doing tonight?
I'm Ken.
Ken.
Ken. Yes.
You okay?
Yes. I'm good. I mean, yourself is an immigrant here.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Like, how is like the immigration problem in your country?
In my country?
Yes.
It's okay. I'm very left-leaning, so
Okay.
Immigration is okay, but you need integration.
Integration, assimilation.
Hi.
But do you think they do that?
In my country,
yes,
they do.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm sorry to pause already. In my country, they do. We don't know anything about this guy. If he's been away for a long time, he might not be fully acquainted with the current situation. Like, to be completely honest with you guys, I don't know how good or bad it is in the United States right now because I've been away for 16 years. But from my perspective from Japan, there were things that looked really, really bad and worrisome for my loved ones back home. And there were things that also were looking quite good for my loved ones back home. You know, you would ask people and people would say like, well, it's actually not that bad, or it's actually really bad, you know. So it's like, it's tough because unless you're there to experience it yourself, it's hard to say one way or the other whether it's actually, you know, good or bad. But on top of that, isn't the situation in Europe right now that the illegal migration has become overwhelming and such a burden on the system for the native residents? Or people who came to those countries legally. I'm not talking about legal migrants. Legal migrants went, you know, the hard route of actually getting their visas and making a life there. So it's really quite sad. You know, they often end up getting pulled into this argument. And I often think that's intentional by people who want to kind of muddy the waters and just avoid being logical about the situation. But isn't that the big thing in Europe right now? people are not assimilating. Rather, like people are coming over illegally and making their own communities or being housed in like hotels, for example, in the UK. I think they moved them to military bases now, which I don't see how that's a good thing. How are they assimilating if they're not mixing into the native population? They're making their own communities. It's not just illegal migrants doing that. There are illegal migrants doing that too, but you can't even really argue with that point though, because he's just saying like there's not really a way to prove that it's true or not true. But at least from what we're hearing from here, and this is partly why Japanese people are concerned about the migrant issue here in Japan, the foreigner issues. What we're hearing from here is that assimilation is not happening. The illegal migration is actually creating big problems over in Europe, and people are afraid of that happening here. I mean, he said he's leftist, so he might be looking at it from the rose-colored glasses point of view, you know? Because otherwise, I think he's got a point. People should be allowed to come in, but they have to assimilate. I think that's very reasonable. At least try to assimilate. I know it can be difficult, but if you're trying your best, that should count for something.
All right.
Do they do it in Japan though?
Not some people like you do it, but some people is different. Exactly. That's when they say no.
Same idea. You assimilate or you get the fuck out.
Exactly. So we welcome people like you to Japan because obviously you're learning Japanese.
You should welcome everyone. You should try.
You should try. Yeah.
Try to.
But like, let me tell you something. Like, it's true. Like some people from some certain countries, and then they say they have a war, education because of like the very like hard life there. They have more likely to have like more violent, personalities in general.
No, I disagree.
All right.
No, I disagree. Okay, so.
Okay.
Everyone.
So much you want to say. I should pause.
Our life, easy.
Yes.
Very easy.
Okay.
Compared to, let's say, for example.
Nigeria.
For example, exactly. For example, Nigeria.
Yes.
Nigeria has had wars for 100 years.
Yeah.
Fighting inwardly.
Yeah, exactly. Yes.
We can live, we can eat, we can do whatever we want.
Yes.
They can't.
Yes.
They need to survive day by day.
Yes.
We should get them here, give them time to assimilate, and then integrate them into our society.
Okay. But
I know it's difficult.
Listen.
But we should give every person a chance.
No. I understand this guy. He wants to be compassionate. He's viewing this very idealistically. And in an ideal world, it would be wonderful to give everyone, he's saying everyone, that's why I stopped it. It would be wonderful to be able to give everyone the chance to experience a good life in a wonderful place like Japan. But no, we live in the real world. You have to vet people. I talked in a recent video, which one was it? I think the Reddit stories, Japan Reddit stories one that I did. I talked about how every time I've gone to immigration, or almost every time, I've seen people getting rejected, their visas rejected just because they got divorced. Or other petty things like that, like they lost their job, they're not making enough money. If that is enough reason for someone to not obtain a visa in Japan, why wouldn't, proper vetting of people's backgrounds be very, very important? I just don't understand this mindset. And, we could argue that saying that you have to make a certain amount of money or divorce or things like that, or it should be changed. Like these visa policies should be changed. Sure, we could absolutely argue and discuss that. But that's the reality of the situation. The visa situations here. Let me just have some tea. The other thing is too, like, if you're saying everyone, does that include people with a criminal background? Because when you go to, for example, you're working on your visa, applying for a visa, extending a visa, all that stuff, you always have to mention if you have a criminal background or not. Obviously, they're going to look more favorably on you if you don't have a criminal background, even if it's just petty crime. This gentleman is saying everyone. There are people who have had very, very hard lives, and they have not resorted to crime. It's possible. It's possible to live a really difficult life and not fall into the criminal sphere. And I'm sorry, but I don't think you deserve the chance to start a life in a new country if you have that background. Or I shouldn't say that. You know, you might be somebody who was in who has a criminal background, criminal history. You've turned over a new leaf. You want to repent, but maybe this is the price that you pay for doing that in the first place. You know, it should be up to the countries in question to decide if they want to accept people who have criminal backgrounds, for example. And on top of that, again, I understand that the Dutch gentleman is trying to be compassionate, but what obligation does Japan, or any country for that matter, not just Japan, what obligation do they have to take in people from other countries? What obligation do they have to anyone outside of their own citizens, you know? I think what Ken-san was trying to say here as well, he was pointing out about like war-torn countries. I shouldn't attempt to speak for him, but I think what he's trying to say here is that there are countries of concerns with human rights violations ongoing. And do we really want to import, especially the people who are in charge or enforcing these human rights violations, do we really want to risk importing them into our country? My personal feeling is that if you have a very clear group of people who are facing these human rights violations, let's say, for example, the women and girls in Afghanistan, right? They are definitely facing human rights violations ongoing. If the country is saying, like, we will only take in people from these specific people from these countries because they are not safe in their own countries. If we were bringing in, let's say, women and girls, some Afghani women and girls, I actually think that's great. Or Ukrainian refugees, for example. I think that's a good thing. If they're coming from a country that does not have blatant and ongoing human rights violations, or they're coming from that country and they're the ones facing the human rights violations, they are part of the groups that are really suffering, I think that's great. I think to give them the chance at a good life in a country like Japan is wonderful. But that's not what's happening around the world right now. We all know this. I think we all know this. I don't want to be mean to this Dutch gentleman because he seems like a nice guy, just maybe a little bit overly idealistic. But it also kind of feels like he's intentionally, at least a little bit, trying to obfuscate the situation. So tricky. I can see why Ken-san put this title. He must have been so frustrated. Once again, foreigner telling a Japanese person how their country should consider migrant cases. I don't understand this mindset. You come to another country and you tell people how they should be doing things, the native people of that country. What's the analogy? It's the home analogy, right? Like you go into another person's home, or they kindly welcome you in, right? And then you start telling them how they should cook a dinner and clean their house and where furniture should be and who they should allow into their house and who they shouldn't and blah, 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 blah. That is the reality of the situation here. We are guests here. Let me clarify. If we don't like it, but it's how life in Japan is and Japanese people are happy with that, like they want it to be that way, it's not up to us to ask them to change it. We should go back to our home countries. We could go find another country. I know it's not easy. It's easy to say, right? It's not easy to actually do. If you meet Japanese people who also want that kind of change, then yeah, like you can support their voices. It's tricky. It's tricky. It's a complicated situation. There are definitely people who have anti-Japanese biases, right? If this is reflected on social media or somehow in the person's personal history, if they're applying for a visa or coming to live here, shouldn't they be turned away? Would you really want someone who's anti your country, your people, in the country to potentially commit like terrorist attack against your people? Like, I feel like I'm going crazy when I try to understand why people aren't trying to be more discriminate in who they allow in and don't allow in. Because you're not saying that, I'm not saying, and I don't think most people making this point, obviously some are, I'm not talking about them, but I don't think most people making this point are saying that no one should be allowed in, but that just you want to be practical and careful about not allowing criminals in, right? Or those who have like a violent history, potentially threatening histories. I don't know when this stopped being logical. Like just the basic order of things.
A chance.
If they fuck up the chance, they should fuck off.
All right.
But everyone deserves a chance.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm sorry to pause it again, guys. He said you fuck up the chance, you're off, right? Yes, of course, of course. Where I don't agree with him is the part where he continues and said, but everyone deserves a chance. They do not. They do not. Not everyone deserves a chance. I'm an idealist too. That's why I think I'm the centrist that I am. I used to be a leftist, but the reason I've become more centrist is because naturally I want to see a world that's as fair to as many people as possible. But you can't just have compassion if you want a fair world. There has to be logic behind that. It has to be kind of a reasonable, you have to make reasonable points. Let's just say that. You can't trust everyone. That's a fact of life. In fact, I've learned that the hard way as quite a naive autistic person, assuming that everyone was smarter than me and kinder than me and just better than me, and treating them that way, looking up to them and trusting them as those things, and then learning the hard way that actually, no, they're not. You have to be discerning. If someone has a bad history, again, a criminal history, if they are coming from a country with blatant ongoing human rights violations and they are part of the group that is committing the human rights violations. So again, let me use Afghanistan as an example here because it's quite clear cut, right? If they're part of the leadership, for example, if they're part of, I would say, the men in general in Afghanistan. Obviously, there are going to be really good men in Afghanistan as well who hate what is happening to their women and girls. Obviously, and it's quite sad for them, but I'm sorry, it's too much of a risk. Why is Japan or any country obligated to take in people who might potentially be a risk? The women and girls, yes, I'm completely fine with that because they do need help. But if you're part of the group committing these atrocities, even if you're not actually committing them yourself, if you're part of that group, no. If you have a criminal background, I think it's up to the country to decide whether they want to risk that or not. And to be completely honest with you, if I was in charge, I would want to think of my people first. And all the other people living here as well. Because if we let someone in who's going to commit crimes, it's going to reflect really badly on the other foreign residents too. It's going to negatively affect them as well. They might be the recipients of the crime, as has happened in quite a few cases here recently. I talked in the Oriental Pearl and Chris Abroad in Japan situation video very briefly about getting stalked by 2 foreign men who recently moved here. Not Japanese people, foreign men. So it's not only Japanese people, for example, or people of the country bringing in migrants who are at risk. The foreign residents or the legal migrants living there as well are also going to be at risk. So I think countries have a responsibility to consider, maybe it's a great person, maybe they're turning over a new leaf, but do we want to risk it? And honestly, if I was in charge, I wouldn't risk it. I talked before about what happened to that girl, the Japanese girl. That was in 2024, end of 2024. There was a case in Kawaguchi, Saitama-ken Kawaguchi-shi, of a foreign man who got let off multiple times despite raping, God, I'm going to need to bleep that, children, multiple children, Japanese children. And I'm sorry, but no. If that fecker had been deported the first time, shouldn't have been allowed in the country. But if he had been deported the first time, at least the next child who suffered his disgusting predation would have had their entire life ruined. First child as well, if he had never been brought in. Sorry, it just pissed me off so much. And I know I raised this point in the video, the Oriental Pearl and Abroad in Japan video. But I'm someone who experienced that when I was a child and when I was a teenager. Maybe people who haven't experienced it genuinely don't understand how it ruins your life. I mean, from any age, if that happens, your life is never the same. But when it happens to you from childhood, you're never going to get to know what a normal life would have been like because of one nasty, sick person who deserves a wood chipper. Line them up for the wood chipper, please. Like these people who say just bring everyone in. You don't need to vet them. Just give everyone a chance. No. I know it probably seems a bit heartless, but the risk is not worth it. I take this stuff seriously. I have no room for empathy or compassion for child predators. So, these people who are willing to risk the life of even one child really piss me off. You know, we've got to make some decision, right? Government has to make some decision. And I think it's always better to err on the side of caution. Err on the side of caution. I'm not good at speaking. It feels like a compassion for predators and criminals over the victims. And it's so weird because it's usually the same people who are saying believe all victims, right? But in these cases, they're actively defending people with criminal histories and records over the victims. Why? Because it was just one child it happened to. How many children do you think it should happen to before that person should be deported? Anyone who really feels strongly about that and feels inclined to defend these people, I would really love to know how many children it would take experiencing something like that before you would be like, you know what, yeah, they should have been deported the first time. They should have never been allowed in if they have any remote background like that. It's not give them a chance to feck up because you're putting your own people at risk. It's check the background, vet them. And again, if they're coming from a country where there are blatant ongoing human rights violations and they are part of the group committing these violations, again, even if they're a lovely person, I'm sorry. Oh, man. Again, I don't feel like the Dutch gentleman is a bad dude. I'm pissed off that he's telling a Japanese person how Japan should be doing things. And kind of writing off Ken-san's concerns. But on top of that, he's looking at this with such naive idealism. Forgive me for saying this, guys, but I feel like I've noticed a pattern. It's just a pattern. Obviously, I don't have statistics to back this up, so take it with a grain of salt. But I feel like I've noticed a pattern where people who are promoting this kind of thing indiscriminately, just saying, you know, I just talked about this with my Japanese friend. It's called zero hyaku in Japanese. Like you're all 0% or all 100%. There's no 50%. There's no middle ground. People who have these extremist positions, particularly the left right now, you know, when it's zero hyaku, I think they're so far removed from the reality or the repercussions of their own idealism. So let's say, you know, letting everyone in, they're so far removed of what that would actually look like and how that will actually affect people that they can't imagine and they don't want to imagine it. They really think they're doing the right thing, which I can respect. I can respect that, you know, you're trying to be compassionate and kind. But these are the same people that are always talking about privilege, you know, all these different types of privilege. And I get that they feel guilty for their own privilege and the good things they've had in their lives. But instead of feeling guilty, as someone who came from quite an unprivileged background, I know they would hate me for this because I'm white, but I came from deep poverty and quite an abusive home. I've been homeless twice. Life has not been easy. And yet, there are so many things I feel deep gratitude for. And I even feel gratitude for some of the bad things because it's helped to shape me into who I am. It's made me proud of myself for getting through that stuff. It's made me excited about the future, excited about potential peace, excited about healing. It's helped me creatively. You know, like these experiences have made my creations more authentic and soulful. I always think if I can feel gratitude for even some of the bad things that happened, of course you should be able to feel gratitude, real gratitude, not forced, just genuine gratitude for the good things that you've had, the privileges that you've enjoyed. And I think if you can do that, if you can recognize that you're privileged and instead of feeling guilty and like I have to make up for that somehow, just feel grateful for it and try to extend that to other people. So when people from less privileged backgrounds are telling you, well, you know, like when you try to enforce this thing, this is how it affects me directly. Listen to them and try not to listen with judgment. I know we're humans. We all judge every second of every day for every little thing, but try to do so with as much compassion as possible. So when people are telling you, you know, this person with a criminal record was brought into the country and did this to my child or did this to me, whatever it is. And for that reason, I think it's important for the sake of future children, for the sake of future residents, that the vetting be a little bit stricter. Or, you know, like people from, again, countries with human rights violations, if they're part of the groups committing those violations, maybe we don't allow them in. Instead of being like, oh, you're a monster, you're so privileged, blah, 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 all that nonsense, I think they could really benefit from just listening to other people. Because I think most people don't want to be arguing like this. And honestly, we can't survive with 0-100 mindset. We can't. That's why we're in the crazy world situation we're in right now. Sorry guys, I know I'm blabbering so much about this, and I don't like to talk about politics too much, but it's kind of inevitable with this topic, I suppose. But I just feel so sorry for Ken-san. Like, the Dutch gentleman is not hearing him, and he's not hearing the opinions of a lot of young Japanese people. Not just the young, but it's quite a lot of the young Japanese people who are feeling this fear and concern. And that makes sense, right? They have more access to social media. They have more access to internet news. Whether or not the news that they're seeing is accurate or fake or biased in any way is kind of besides the point. They're actively seeing that. They're seeing that there are issues going on in the world. So naturally, they're going to be more concerned about it. It's upsetting because you don't want to be annoyed at the person. You understand they're trying to be kind and compassionate and everything. But the hypocrisy, like their own hypocrisy that they're not seeing is frustrating. All right, let's continue. I'm sorry, I blabber too much.
So you accept the idea of deportations if they do not assimilate.
If they fuck up, if they fuck up,
yeah.
They should fuck up.
But let me tell you something, right? It's true that some women here in Japan, they feel scared of people who are more likely to be a little bit violent.
I'm sorry, but compared to Europe, you should not ask about women's scaredness to Asian men, because we don't have the creep shot problem at all, or any rape problems at all.
He is so far removed from the reality, this Dutch guy. And you hear his language. We don't have the rape problems at all. Again, 0-100. Really? So did you not just have the case with the girl who was R-worded and murdered by an illegal immigrant? Not just illegal immigrants, obviously. There are going to be Dutch people and foreign residents in Holland who are also committing such crimes. So his statement alone is ridiculous at all. I feel sorry for Ken-san. I'm sorry. Let me continue. I'm sorry. Let me see what Ken-san says in response, and maybe I'll have something more to say. I'm actually speechless with annoyance.
Oh, wait. No. Listen.
Hey, man to man, bro.
Yo, listen.
Bro.
Yeah, what is
man
it?
Man to man.
Okay. What? I mean, yes, there is, yes, I'm accepting it. There is some man steal women's panties, bras, and take creepy pictures, yes. But there is we have the lowest rape rate in Japan, in the world.
Lowest
rape.
No.
Rape. Yeah, rape.
You have the lowest reported rate.
Okay.
Because it's safe here.
Reported.
But how do you know
there is a large difference between rape rate and reported rape rates?
Okay. I still completely disagree with the Dutch dude, but he's right. The rape report rate is very, very low here. There's still massive stigmatization of the victims. You guys might have heard the case of Ito Shiori. It's a very famous case, and she ended up going overseas where she could actively talk about what had happened to her, whereas in Japan, they were trying to silence her. A lot of really, really negative stuff. Please look up her case. She's a really strong woman, incredible woman. So yes, it's underreported for sure, because there's still quite a lot of stigma. I even remember, it must have been at least 10 years ago. It might even have been more. Person who had been R-worded, a Japanese person who had been R-worded, and Japanese woman said to her, the survivor, "Who would rape you?" Like that. So, it is underreported here for sure. But at the same time, you can't claim that it's the worst in the world, or worse than Europe, without the full statistics. And not to mention, if you look at the rising rape statistics in Europe, and they have been rising, I don't even want to go into it because it's so horrific that people refuse to look at what's happening because they don't want to come off as or come across as discriminatory, but to not want to protect these typically women and children. some young men as well who are experiencing this. I mean, it's like it has to happen to them for them to develop any compassion for the victims. It's crazy. I understand not wanting to tar everyone with the same brush, but when you're defending the predators out of fear that their acts are going to tar everyone with this negative brush, I don't understand how you don't see that as a problem. Anyway, let me go back to this topic. I'm really pissed off as someone, as I've said before, as someone who has been groped here. She conned multiple times. Shinjuku Station, on the trains, in a freaking donkey. I know people, Japanese and non-Japanese, who have experienced it too. Yeah, it sucks. It sucks. And it's an issue that, yeah, needs to be taken seriously and dealt with. But you're saying that the men here are worse than in Europe? Really? Why are you here? Why are you speaking for women as well? I have heard Japanese women talking about fear, about the safety, rising safety issues in Japan. Let's just say it like that. I also feel that fear, as I told you, based on my experiences within the last year, within those 6 to 8 months of getting stalked twice by new foreign residents in the town, men in the town. So you're just going to write off Japanese women's concerns and say, well, they should be afraid of their own men. What about the foreign women residing here? I'm not saying that, he like, since he's not a woman, he can't talk about it. But he is acting like he knows how Japanese women, he doesn't even speak Japanese. How do you know how Japanese women feel? And to be honest with you, if they understand that you're this type of person who's going to tell them, oh, if you're afraid, that makes you bigoted. You're afraid of certain foreign men, for example, especially coming from countries where rape rates are high, right? If you're afraid of them coming here, that makes you bigoted. Well, of course, if they can tell you're that sort of person, they're not going to tell you honestly their feelings. And in Japan in general, people tend not to do the honne, present their real selves, sorry. It's like the tatamae, where it is more the self-constructed to kind of fit in with the society. You're not being too forthright about things. I trust that Ken-san knows what his fellow Japanese female acquaintances, friends, family are feeling. And to be honest with you, I agree. Because having experienced it myself from foreign arrivals here, newer foreign arrivals here, yeah. I don't think I talked about this before. It's probably the reason why I didn't end up naturalizing or getting like permanent residency here. I'll go into the full story another time if you guys want me to, but years ago, 10 years ago now? No, 11 years ago now, I was scammed by a fake visa specialist. He was a foreigner. It's tough to talk about. He had been in prison, Japanese prison. To this day, I'm still pretty confident he was trying to traffic my sister and me. It's the place that he took us to. This was right before I became homeless, by the way. This is why I became homeless in Japan. The place that he took us to, the particular night, we had just been assaulted by our drunk landlord in the share house that we were living in. So he kind of ran away. And he was promising, oh, I know a place you can go. The place he took us to, still remember, as soon as the door opened, it was not a normal house. And inside, you could hear girls' voices, moaning and coughing. It's just not good. And I remember him saying, I live right next door, so I'll see you every day. My worst experiences of such things in Japan, the points where I felt unsafest, was with foreign men in Japan, particularly foreign men who come from countries with high rape statistics, because they have been the ones who have put me, or ones that I love, here in that situation, the situation where we had to be afraid. So yeah, I mean, that situation, sure, it happened 11 years ago. That person had been I don't know if he's still in Japan. He had been in Japan for years longer than I had. So it's not like it's a new issue, but naturally, Japan wanted to bring in people from countries, recently they wanted to bring in large numbers of people from countries where, yeah, such statistics are quite high. And, you know, women are not viewed on the same level as the men, which is partially what drives these kinds of crimes. And of course, Japanese women are afraid. And of course, foreign women living here might be afraid. I'm not going to speak for everyone. Fear is not rational. I mean, the situation of saying bring everyone in indiscriminately is also completely irrational. But when people tell you that you being afraid is bigoted, they do speak from a place of the very same privilege that they always talk about, because they haven't been through it. Typically, they haven't been through it. You don't want to experience it again, and you don't want anyone else to ever have to experience it. If you're a decent person. Ah, feck. As the title says, feck. Okay, let me just, to kind of close off that point. Don't speak for Japanese women. You don't even speak Japanese. So don't speak for them. They're probably not going to tell you their real feelings about the situation because they can tell you're the kind of person who's going to judge them for it and tell them why they're wrong, even though you have no real understanding of why they feel that way or why they fear these specific things. On top of that, you said Europe or Holland doesn't have that problem at all, or Europe doesn't have the problem at all. You cannot make that claim. There is actual evidence to completely counter that claim, and you cannot say that Japan's men are the worst in the world without evidence to back it up. If the rape statistics are not reported or underreported, which I do agree with, then you don't have the evidence to prove that. And I'm sorry, but stealing panties or bras or taking creep shots, it's horrible. It's completely degrading and you feel just horrific if it happens to you. But it is different from rape. And if you're using that as the benchmark of like worst predators in the world, I'm sorry. Oh man. Try not to let myself get too emotionally riled up by stuff like this, but this just pisses me off. It pisses me off. All right, let's continue. I don't know that I want to hear anything else he has to say, but let's try.
But the thing is, you cannot deny that we have safe cities.
No,
more than I guess in Italy, right?
You in Asia, in general,
exactly.
You have much safer cities.
Yes,
women can walk around here much
exactly.
safer compared to Europe or anywhere else.
Yeah.
However, women don't report rape here at all because the rape differential in Europe compared to Asia is very large. In Europe, if I touch your butt sexual assault.
Yeah.
If she goes to a club here,
I know what he's gonna say there. First of all, he keeps saying at all. No, stop with the 0-100. Second of all, again, you don't have the statistics from Japan, so you cannot compare them to the rape statistics in Europe. You simply cannot do it accurately, so just stop it. And third of all, I think he's going to say, oh, if someone touches your butt in Europe, they're going to get arrested. Like sexual harassment, they're going to get arrested. Really? Would you like to tell that to the UK grooming gang victims? Like, is he serious? Look, I'm sure it is. Compared to Japan, I'm sure people are more likely to report such situations. But what are the statistics for actual arrests made? Because with the grooming gang situation in the UK, they've needed a whole inquiry, or two actually, to look into the absolute neglect and abandonment of those victims. It's just too extremist. I mean, it's tough, like you're having a street conversation like this. It's tough to just quickly pull up statistics. But just don't make the claim unless you've got it, you know? Guys, I'm not trying to decry the severity of the issue in Japan as well, because yes, even stalking, although I've heard stalking cases are tough even in other countries, even in like America and Europe. But yeah, sexual crimes here, yeah, it can be difficult to be taken seriously. It's absolutely true. Especially if it's a man who's experiencing the sexual abuse or harassment from a woman. It's really, really hard. But I hope it won't dissuade people from reporting as much as possible. I hope not. I'm just annoyed by, and like, why are you acting like Japan is worse than other countries? Look, Inson's face here is so amusing. He's like, what the hell am I hearing?
She goes to a club here.
Yeah.
Guys touch her butt.
Yeah.
Different guys touch her butt every night.
In America,
you know,
too.
there's like immigration rallies in Japan There's a lot of women, young women also. They are saying like, we don't want to be like London. That's what they're saying.
But
So
why?
What do you think about it?
Why not?
Why?
Because if you bring some people,
Why?
if you bring a lot of people from a war-torn country or third world, they will be more likely to have a sexual or knife crime.
Why?
I don't want to hate him. It's not that I hate him. I'm just swiftly losing respect. The nande. Oh, sorry, I was reading the Japanese subtitles. He's saying, but why? But why? Nande. It's so clear that he's trying to entice Kenzan into saying something that he could then be like, but that's bigoted. He's trying to entice Kenzan, I think, into saying that the women are afraid that people from these countries that, like the Pakistani grooming gangs, right, in the UK. Well, he said London, but I think he's referring to that, the grooming gangs that I was talking about, which was largely Pakistani men. The victims of those crimes have still not seen justice. Naturally, women in other countries who are hearing about this, girls, everyone, probably not even just women and girls, they don't want that coming here. I think it is rational to want to, again, avoid places that have, or avoid people that come from places with high rape statistics and such a blatant inequality between men and women, where women are treated as lesser than as property. Of course you're going to be afraid of that, especially if you're a woman. What's wrong with these people? Why come to Japan and tell Japanese people how they should be doing things? It can't be said enough. These are the same people that say, my country had a colonizer past, therefore my people are evil. They really seem to firmly believe that. I firmly believe that one should never be punished for the potential crimes of their ancestors, because you can't necessarily prove that your ancestor committed a crime like colonization or something in another country. I understand feeling sorry about it and making sure never to repeat it and not wanting to repeat it, but that's actually the problem. These people who firmly believe that they are bad or they are part of a bad country because of its colonization past, for example, they are now coming to other countries and telling them how they should be living and how they should be doing things, which is technically a modern form of colonization. Oh, you're not doing it the way I think you should do it, therefore you're bad and wrong. なんか子供っぽい。バカバカしい。
To have a sexual or knife crime.
Why?
Because they're
Stop
not
asking
educated,
why.
I guess.
Because their life has been destroyed.
Exactly.
Fudge. I mean, I disagree with Ken-san a little bit. He said they're not educated. I don't think you can really prove that. It's just a different society and different hierarchies in the society, different histories that led to these hierarchies. It's unfortunate because we're all human, so you want to give the benefit of the doubt to everybody, of course. However, again, if a country has or society in general, doesn't have to be a whole country, it could be like a specific city or something, has high levels of certain types of crimes or human rights violations or problems like that, you've got to really think about if you want to potentially import such problems. By the way, the other thing, the Dutchman said, because their life has been destroyed. No. He thinks he's being compassionate here. What he's actually doing is being completely non-compassionate to the people who were victims of these predators and assailants. Like I said, I had a really rough childhood. Into my 20s, life was very difficult. Forgive me for this. This is my Zero Hyaku moment. I really hate people who try to claim trauma as a reason why they're allowed to be horrific or abusive to other people. I don't ever mean to be compassionate for people like that. Because yes, it's often the case that people who do go on to traumatize others have experienced significant trauma themselves. But I just firmly believe that if you've been through such bad stuff, you don't want anyone else to experience that. The thought of other people going through it and having to suffer, it hurts. It physically hurts. It's so freaking depressing. He's saying that the reason why these people commit these crimes is because they've been through hell. No! They're just bad people. Stop giving them a free pass. They should go to jail. They should have to serve out their sentence for their crimes. And then maybe when they come out of jail, if they've been reformed, maybe we can consider giving them a chance. As I said before, I think it's up to each individual country to decide if they want to take that risk. And if they say no, I don't think they should be blamed. I think that's the price you pay when you feck up your life that bad, when you ruin multiple other people's lives because you decided to commit a crime. I just don't understand these people. They're so far removed from it, aren't they? It seems so foolish, like needlessly foolish. I don't know if it's just me that feels that way, but you guys let me know. You might completely disagree with me. Maybe you can point out if I have been to Zero Hyaku myself on this issue.
But it's nothing to do with the people who live here.
I'm telling you, because their life has been destroyed is not the reason you should instantly accept them.
Yeah.
That's why I'm saying if you fuck up, get the fuck out.
Yeah.
That's as simple as that.
But the risk.
But you should at least give them a chance.
But,
and if one chance, and this is like a humanitarian standpoint, because one chance for some people, one chance is all they need.
Yeah.
For some people, you give them one opportunity and they take 100 and they fuck up the entire society. I get that.
Yeah.
If you get it. I mean, again, it's Zero Hyaku. It's the extremist mentality of it's like black or white, right? It's not gray. It's all or nothing. He said they fuck up the entire society. I don't personally believe that one person can destroy an entire society, but of course I know they can have quite a negative impact. My whole thing is, why is he, if he can understand that one person could potentially have such a negative effect on the society, that he thinks it could even fuck up the whole society, why do you feel that any country is obligated to take a chance on a person like that? I don't get it. Sorry, Ken-san, I'm so sorry. I mean, I haven't seen, this is the first time I'm seeing his video, so I'm not super familiar with his content, but despite the title, I understand why the title is the way it is now. He seems very calm, engaging with this person who is being completely illogical and unreasonable, and really telling him how he and his people should be living, and what risks they should take. These people don't get it. They have to experience it themselves before. And maybe even then they won't get it, to be honest with you. All right.
I get that.
Yeah.
But are you willing to condemn 100 people to the shittiest war-torn life for one person to fuck up people here? Which is the philosophical and deep societal question you have to ask yourself.
I understand
Philosophy
exactly
can
what you're
guide
saying,
us, but
the thing
it
is,
has to have...
like
I love philosophy,
even if it's 1 out of 100,
logic behind
it's going to be 1% of risk for us to receive
I understand.
matter, right?
I understand.
So why would we take the risk? We have no advantages for that.
No shit, you don't. That's the entire issue.
That's
why you have to take that risk.
Empathy.
Yes.
Empathy, you say.
What is he saying?
Exactly.
Not
You're a very kind person.
No, but and the worst part is in the Netherlands. I'm from the Netherlands.
Yeah.
We had a case like this 2 months ago where a girl got killed, raped, killed and raped.
Yeah, goddamn.
So both at the same time from an immigrant. But the issue with that is obviously whenever you bring that in the news, everyone is gonna look at the news and be. You all have opinions.
Yeah.
We all have opinions.
Yeah.
That's a part of life.
Yes.
The problem is, we both understand we want our country as safe as possible.
Exactly.
But how much are you willing to take away from the life of other people to give a bit of safety to them?
I do.
It's like, the thing is,
it is.
Maybe I'm selfish.
It is.
But the thing is,
and you should be able to be selfish.
Yeah, exactly.
You can have your opinion to be selfish. That's fair.
I'm saying, I might say, you know what I'm saying?
That's fair.
I'm not God, I'm not Buddha.
No,
I don't want to take any risk for our women.
And that's okay. You should be able to tell that.
So you're...
And people should also not be able to condemn you for that opinion.
Oh, okay. You're very intelligent. Like, because some people just say, oh, you're racist, you're Nazi, you know, like...
It's not no Nazism, no intelligentism. It's, if you have an opinion, you should be able to voice that, and other people should be able to judge that, and shut the fuck up. Because I have an opinion, he has an opinion, he has an opinion.
He has an opinion.
The poor dude.
All opinions are fair.
It's just like,
exactly.
We all have the same voting rights. But we should discuss about the opinions, not... Let's say I don't agree with you.
Yeah.
Fair.
Yeah.
But we should still be able to talk about it.
Yeah, you should. Of course, you should be able to talk about it, right? I think actually that's one of the big problems and why this issue has blown up everywhere around the world. As I hate to say it, I don't want to be overly political, but the more left the society, the more left-leaning, the more censorship there has been. I'm not saying it doesn't happen on the right, because it does happen on the right. But in the last few years, starting with COVID situation, there's been so much censorship. And in the UK right now, the censorship is absolutely insane, just for expressing an opinion. Like it's weird to hear somebody who has professed themselves as being left-leaning and then telling this person what they should be thinking and doing in their own country, and then saying that you should be free to express that. But a lot of the people who lean the same way politically in their home countries would try to censor Ken-san, and yeah, indeed call him the names that he mentioned. I've definitely heard people getting called those names in the past few years, more and more and more, which angers me, by the way, because they are cheapening those words, particularly the Nazism or Nazi word. And that is a word that historically you do not want to cheapen the meaning of. It's very, very important that we remember the severity of those truly evil people. Just because someone expresses an opinion you disagree with, they become a Nazi, is insane to me. What really, really upsets me about what this Dutch gentleman has said, the part where he said how much you're willing to take away from other people to give a bit of safety to your own people. What are you taking away from other people if they're not already residents of the country? If they're residents, they're legal residents, and, they're contributing to the society, yes, of course, there should be a basic set of human rights that everyone is given in the society. I think, obviously, citizens and the people born here deserve more rights than those of us who are just here on temporary visas. If you become a permanent resident, then yes, of course, you are owed those same rights. Like the right to vote, for example. I don't think, since I don't have permanent residency, I don't think I should have the right to vote in Japan. Sure, I can have my opinions about the different political parties and policies and everything, but I don't have the right to influence the course of the country if I am not a resident here. Like official resident, a permanent resident or citizen, as a temporary visa holder. You know what I mean? I can't understand what he's saying. If you're talking about allowing them in, because this whole topic is about immigration, if you're talking about allowing them in, you're not taking anything away from them. They haven't been here yet to experience it and have something taken away from them. I think he's trying to say that you're taking away a chance for them to live a life in a really good country. If you want to be idealistic about it, sure, it would be wonderful to live in a world where you can freely offer that chance to everyone equally, and not have to be concerned about safety or any other kind of threats, right? It's not the world we live in. Yeah, Ken-san was saying maybe I'm selfish, and then he goes, yeah, it is. I think he was talking about something else, though, but he said you should be able to be selfish. Okay, which one is it? Because you keep telling him what he's doing is wrong. You keep telling him that what he believes about his own society is wrong. It's just, guys, it's such circular logic. It's going nowhere. There's also so much we can call him like gizensha, hypocrite, which is kind of sad. It's like I don't want to be harsh on the dude, but the leftists tend to be the ones who talk about privilege. He's definitely speaking from a place of privilege, not having experienced these things directly. And yes, he has a point, like the case of that girl who was raped and murdered in Holland. Sure, we shouldn't say that because it happened with from one illegal migrant, that means we should never allow in any other migrants. Obviously, that would be a ridiculous statement to make. But you need to make the distinction between legal migrants and illegal migrants. And second of all, if it's a repeat case, if it keeps happening from the illegal migrants that you're taking in, it's already a problem if they're illegal, right? Because technically it is a crime. I understand in the case of refugees, but I think refugees have to be carefully vetted. Again, we're not seeing a lot of women and girls heading into Europe, right? It's a lot of military age men coming from countries where their women and girls are getting abused and mistreated or facing human rights violations of some kind, or LGBTQIA plus people facing human rights violations of some kind. But you don't see those people coming in, right? So I'm not saying no women and children show up, but it's just, again, it's just all these extremes. There are just no distinctions, important distinctions that you can't overlook. And again, if it was just one case of that happening, what happened to that Dutch girl, still shouldn't have happened. Person shouldn't have been allowed in. But it's not the case of just it happening to just one girl. It's happening to many, 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 and particularly from illegal migrants. And look, obviously every country has its own native people who are preying on women, girls, and boys, young men. Obviously there are predators in every country. That's why you don't want to import anymore. It's just ridiculous. I feel like Ken-san really approached that in the Japanese way, because he was very mild-mannered and gentle about his perspective, even though I could tell it bothered him. There's a really heartbreaking clip of a young Japanese girl. Oh, I don't remember if she's part of the Japan First movement or whatever it is, but she was talking about her fear, her growing fear after bad experiences she had had. Really young girl. Like, she had been forced into thinking that she was bad for daring to talk about being afraid of things that she noticed getting worse and that she had experienced. That's pretty sad, huh? I think I've said everything I need to say. Ken-san's video is around 8 minutes, and I probably blabbered for close to an hour. Yeah, you guys, please do. I'm going to link to his video, of course. Please do go give it a like, give it a watch, subscribe to him. He seems very interesting. I'll probably check out more of his videos as well. Guys, I really don't think it's hard to be compassionate. I think it's very easy to be both compassionate and reasonable, and recognize that certain situations are having very negative impacts on the people around you. And that just because those people are expressing their concerns about the situation doesn't make them bigoted in some way. In fact, I really think we really need to listen to each other more, which is crazy because we have the technology to listen to each other better than ever. But instead, all we are doing is listening to respond. It's not a case of listening to understand. It's really like we're sitting here listening just to respond to other people. What a shame. Honestly, what a shame. And you know, guys, I almost every time I go out, you know, obviously you'll meet rude Japanese people too, of course. Some people are having a bad day. Some people hate foreigners, it's true. But almost every time I go out, I'm met with really kind people, really sweet people. I am very clearly a foreigner. My Japanese is not fluent. Always try to use Japanese, guys. People really appreciate it here. And we'll just talk. I don't even like talking to people. I'm a massive introvert. But we'll just talk for a while. We'll laugh. We'll kind of break bread, metaphorically, of course. I love talking with Japanese oba-chan, especially the grandmas here. I just feel like Japan has been getting such pressure from the West to conform to Western ideals and do things as the West is doing when it hasn't been working for the West. To try to shame Japan and Japanese people into conforming to Western ideals. I mean, are we back in the, we back in the Edo period? We're opening up Japan again? That guy was a Rhode Islander. What a shame. There's going to be a big blowback, I think. I mean, we're already seeing the beginnings of it with all the anti-foreigner stuff, changes to visas and so on, which I'm quite afraid of myself. Even though I understand why it's been changed, I am afraid of it, to be honest with you guys. It's just bizarre to me to come to Japan and claim to love it, love the society, love living here, but then tell Japanese people how they should be living their lives and what they're doing wrong. Based on what? The home that you left behind? Why did you leave it behind if it was so much better? That's not to say there are not issues in Japanese society. Of course there are. But here's the thing, guys. I don't think any of these people, I don't think Ken-san is anti-immigration. I think it's just pro-reasonable, rational immigration. Maybe my brain is just incapable of comprehending how it could be unreasonable, and I would love to know if you have any good answers to that. I think we need to do something to cheer up. So I'm going to try to go get Boss Cat. Let's see if we can get him. Guys, this is Boss's channel now. This is his channel. So if you want to see something, you have to go through him. Give him an offering of some kind. Oh, sweetheart. He's a good kitty. Alright, Peng friends. Sorry we ended on a sad note. Let's leave it there. Let me know in the comments. Let me know your thoughts in the comments, guys. Let me go give this to him out there. It's cold in this room. I'll see you next time, guys. Yeah, thank you so much. If you enjoyed, of course, hit the like button. Let me know your thoughts in the comments, especially if you agree and or disagree. But yeah, I'm gonna go give Boss Cat the rest of his yum-yums, yeah. Catch you next time, guys. Thank you so much. Thank you for watching. See you. Bye. おやすみなさい。